This is the ideal workflow for adding a background map to your base map. The first step is to georeference your map into your image into GIS. This way your image will be properly oriented to the data in which we'll be using in AutoCAD and Rhino. And so aligning the map and making sure that its proportions to the areas, or the relationship and kind of alignment to the areas that you want are in proper are nicely tight and oriented. And so as we can see here, the schools and our community center are really nicely fixed in their location and their relationships. So what I'm going to first do is I'm going to export. I'm going to turn off all my other layers with only my georeference JPEG on. And then I'm going to export this image. I'm just going to export it as a JPEG. And so now I'm just calling this georeference map. And this all looks great. Seems like a good high resolution. I'm just going to hit save. Next, I will open up AutoCAD and then open the map that I exported from GIS, my DWG file that I exported from GIS. I'm using AutoCAD 2013. So I'm just going to click on the drop down at the upper left corner, go to Open, and then Drawing. I'm just going to look for my drawing. For me, it's 3D Base DWG. So I'm just going to open our file. It's going to let me know that this drawing was made from a program other than Autodesk. I'm just going to click Continue and Open. And now once we're in Autodesk, we're able to see all the line work that we exported. I can navigate in AutoCAD by simply clicking the scrolling button in the middle of the mouse. Will allow me to pan, and then rolling it allows me to zoom in and out. The next step, I will need to attach that JPEG that we exported from GIS and stick it into our map. So that way we can then scale it, so that way it'll meet the edges of our buildings nicely. So I'm just going to click Attach. It's going to open up a file explorer. I'm just going to find my image, and for me it's this georeference map. Hit Open. And then within the path, we just want to make it relative. We want to specify our insertion point on the map, as well as we want to specify scale on screen. So I'm just make sure that these are clicked. The rotation, we know that we don't need to rotate it at all because it should all be aligned perfectly because it's been georeferenced already. Just going to click OK. And then it's going to first ask us for an insertion point. I'm going to, down here, OSNAP, I'm going to click and turn this on. And we'll know it's on when it's highlighted blue. And once we click it, it'll also say OSNAP on down here. Then I'm going to right click. I'm going to make sure that my endpoint object snap is activated. We'll know it's activated because it's clicked. And if you want to turn other ones off, you just simply right click and then click them and turn them off. I'm just going to turn all of them off except endpoint, because that's all I really want to be snapping to. So I'm just going to snap to this building. I'm going to zoom out, and then when I scroll my mouse, we can see that I'm going to turn that as I move it, this box is changing, and that's my base map. So I'm just going to make it a little larger, click, and that brings in our base map. I'm then going to click the bounding box of our map, which is then will take me into this image dialog or ribbon. And then I'm going to right click once I have this selected, and I'm going to go to draw order in the menu, and I'm going to go to send to back. So now that my image is now behind everything else. So I can then click my image once again, and I can click and just drag to change the scale of it. If I want to move it, I can click M for move, and then down here, wherever your kind of command bar is, it's going to ask me, Try that again. Then ask me to select my objects if I want to move. So I'm just going to select the bounding box of our image, hit enter. Then it's going to ask me to select a base point. This is the point where where it's going to move from. So I'm just going to, just like in georeferencing, I'm going to select a corner of the image. Then I'm going to find that same corner in our map. So I turned off OSnap by clicking F3, and I'm just going to turn it back on by clicking F3. I'm just going to snap to that corner. So as you can see, we can then simply click this and then drag. And then once again, type in M. And since I already had my map selected, it immediately jumps into the select base point. So once again, I'll select base point and then I'll move it to the corner. So then we can just continue to shift our map or our background image just a bit until we kind of hit that sweet spot to where we're happy with how it's going to look and align. And as you can see, we're getting pretty close. We just need to pull it over a little bit more. So now we're pretty close. And come down to the Nathan Helm, we can also see that it's also really close. So just got one more little drag. We should be there. And now we are pretty darn close to what aligning it just like we had it in GIS. So once we're happy with that, we can then just go File, Save. We'll just save it. So now we just saved our DWG. We can close AutoCAD, and then we can open up Rhino. I'm just going to open my 3D base, because that was our DWG file. It's going to ask me about the import options. I'm just going to leave everything as checked, hit OK. And now what we have our image. We have all our contours extruded. We have our raster image. So now we're ready to begin both modeling of our site as well as editing, building all the line work that we might need. And so now our image is just like an object that we can click and drag like anything else in Rhino, which makes it really nice and convenient for us to now come in here and begin to outline and draw in the features that aren't present from the GIS information.